This is Jack Cassidy, and you're tuning in, turning on, dropping out on WMNF Tampa, 88.5 FM or WMNF.org.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Hello there, my dear listeners. Well, ain't it just sweeter than an angel's smile to be here with you in the studio on this glorious Monday morning? You are the best, my friend, because you keep your radio dial tuned to WMNF Tampa, the only community-supported radio station that Janet Wise would ever stream, and you can stream us as well by going to WMNF.org. My little rays of sunshine. This morning, Dr. Harvey has gifted us with another Ask Me Anything Monday component of the Healthy Steps radio show. So make no mistake about it, you know what has to be done here. It is incumbent upon you to participate in today's show, to call in, and to ask your questions. You can unburden yourself by simply dialing 813-239-9663. Irene came in today looking forward to taking your call, so again, that number to jingle is 813-239-9663. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. Well, good morning to you, Dr. Harvey. And let me tell you, I'm happier than a flower in the rain whenever you have an Ask Me Anything Monday. I'll step aside now, Dr. Fred, and let this show go to full bloom. What have you got for us today, Dr. Fred?
Good morning, Bill, and thank you again for that lovely intro.
My pleasure, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. It was a lovely weekend. Got some healthy steps in. I crossed the state for the Mango Festival in West Palm Beach. What an amazing event. I love mangoes. Do you like mangoes, Bill? Ooh, I'm not hearing anything. Well, I'll just keep talking. The Mango Festival was packed. There were thousands and thousands of mangoes and mango trees to be sold, and as many people. But the mango is a wonderful fruit, and it is kind of becoming a Florida major fruit. Unlike the citrus, which is going away because of greening and other problems. We drove through what used to be citrus groves coming back and going over there, and it was devastating to see so many dead citrus trees. But the mango does well here, and it's a very, very, very good fruit. It's full of good, healthy, soluble fiber and antioxidants, and there are so many different varieties with so many different flavors. That is so worth it. But, so it's so hard to believe that we have already blown through half a year. This is the last day of the first half of 2025. It's so hard to believe that we're already here. But, time does fly, and what they've done some really neat studies, and I have heard people so many times give me pushback about time. I don't have time is a phrase I've heard before. I don't have time to exercise. Well, I don't think you don't have time to exercise, because exercise is the foundation of health. I mean, humans are designed to move. That's what we do. We're designed to walk. That's why we stand up. And what's amazing is they have done so many studies on movement that show how healthy it is for us to move, which is why I talk about the healthy steps all the time. A new article came out just assessing what's been going on in the field of walking research. And I just want to go back to stuff that we've already talked about, that I already have mentioned, that we've known this stuff for years. But what is 150 minutes a week for y'all? 150 minutes. It's really not much. when you consider that you have 1,440 minutes per day, you have 10,080 minutes per week. If you divide, let's make it easy, make it 140 minutes. Just take 10 minutes off. So that's 20 minutes a day of exercise. 20 minutes a day of walking specifically is what these studies have looked at. And so 20 minutes out of 1,440 minutes in your day would leave you with 1,420 minutes. Considering you might sleep 8 hours, that's 480. So you have 940 minutes left in the day. I don't think that shaving 20 minutes off the top is really all that big a deal. And if you take it off the week, you take 140 off the week, you're still left with 9,940 minutes in the week, of which you're going to sleep about 3,300 of them, 3,400 of them. So you'll be left with 6,600 minutes in a week. So I really think that you do have time to exercise. You convince yourself you don't because you get up too late and you run like crazy. But actually, you're probably getting up late because you don't have enough energy, because you haven't exercised. But Marie Murphy's a researcher at University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and she looked at some old trials, looked at 37 old trials, and found that strolling, walking, just walking, not real hard, is really good for burning calories. In fact, people that are a little overweight burn more calories. When you actually have more weight on board, you burn more calories proportional to weight caloric burning. So overweight people burn more calories, lose more weight. Thin people lose less weight when they do the exercise because they don't need to, and their body's not going to rev up higher. But this is just talking about plain old walking, just walking to and from work or whatever you can walk to. Unfortunately, we live in sprawled out cities where we have to drive a lot of places, but park at the other end of the parking lot. Walk the entire parking lot. Don't park near the store. Because they found also that in these studies that just your daily steps add up. And 34 more recent trials were looked at by another doctor. And what they were looking to see what planned exercise would do. And so they planned 3 minutes of 3 times a week of 30 to 60 minutes moderate intensity aerobic exercise. And what they did see that visceral fat did go down. And they see that moderate exercise, which is perceived exercise as, on a range of a scale of 1 to 10, 5 to 6 level of intensity exertion. And your heart rate should be somewhere between 50 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. And to calculate your maximum heart rate, so you have an idea of how fast your heart should be going, you take the number 220 and subtract your age. So for example, if you are 60 and you subtract that, you get 160, and 50% of that to 70% of that would be a range of 80 to 112 beats per minute. And that would be sufficient to begin burning calories. It's not really a high heart rate. And you should also be able to talk in sentences when you're doing this exercise without any kind of gasping. The type of exercise you can do that promotes this, walking briskly. One study suggested 100 steps per minute, but what you need to do is walk briskly to the point where you're feeling 5 to 6 exertion out of 10, or your heart rate goes up to 50 to 70% of your max. Cycling, modest bicycling, gardening, stair climbing, doubles tennis, and water aerobics all are exercises that are in this kind of range. But they did some other studies and looked at how much more intense you could get. And they showed that there was no increase in weight loss with more than the 150 a week. That's the sweet spot for getting weight loss going. You can do more to gain strength, to do other things with your body. If you want to gain muscle mass, you need to actually do, muscle training, resistance training. But what they found out was when they actually did a planned exercise program in the gym 4 hours a week, that there was less weight change than doing daily walking. In a 6-month study with modest increase, there was only a modest increase in energy expenditures with these people, not as much as they thought there would be, and less weight loss than was expected in the people in the study going to the gym 4 times a week. So they think it was probably due to the fact that the people ate more food after they did their exertion. But they didn't really have a good idea about it. But the bottom line is here that walking is sufficient to change your body, to change your mood, to change your physiology. But the suggestion is that you need to, some people say go hard, but really go than just simple strolling. Just go a little bit more so you feel like you're exerting and not just dawdling. Go long. The longer you go for, the more you get. Now, going to the gym more often with more intensity doesn't get you to lose more weight. But if you walk a bit longer, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, once a week even, adds to all of the changes. And then going back and walking in nature is much better than walking in the city. But if you're in the city, that's good. If you can find a park in the city, that's good too. And another thing, if you want to really add to it, there are studies that show that if you do Nordic walking, where you take your walking poles, hiking poles, moving your upper body along with it burns more calories, and you're getting more functional caloric burning and more strength in your upper body. And I think it's time to remind people that this is the Healthy Steps Show, and we are on WMNF Tampa.
And that's certainly true. And if you're just tuning on in, as he had said, this is the Healthy Steps Radio Show on WMNF Tampa with Dr. Harvey here to answer your medical questions. So give us a call. The number is 813-239-9663, or continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Now that number, one more time, is 813-239-9663. Give us a jingle. Back to you there, Doctor.
Yeah, so the nature of walking is that, we are bipedal organisms that are designed to do walking all day. In fact, when we get up in the morning, we have a luxury of having a refrigerator and a cabinet full of whatever foods we want to eat. But there's an issue in that this is how we actually developed. When we evolved, we would get up in the morning and we would go walking. We would have to leave our dwelling, the cave or whatever it was we were hanging out in, and go out and go walking, looking for water and looking for food. It turns out that if you're hungry, if you go walking, it actually reduces your hunger. There's a whole signaling system set up so that if you start moving, you're not hungry. And then you move until you can find the food, and you eat. And that's the whole thing about this hunter-gatherer lifestyle that we evolved from. It's actually a gatherer-hunter. We get up in the morning and we start walking, and we start gathering food as we walk. And then at some point we might actually find an animal that we might want to hunt, and then we get that. But then we go back to gathering. Most of the day was gathering leaves and seeds and berries and fruits and flowers and roots and whatever else we could find that we could consume to keep us going. And so this is where the walking part comes into it, that we actually have to keep moving to actually do the physiology that helps us utilize the calories better, that helps us find the calories. Because we are gatherers. We don't do that. We walk 20 feet to the kitchen and gather something from the fridge. That's not exactly the kind of exercise we were designed to do before breakfast. Which is one of the reasons I like to actually go out in the morning after I get up, have a glass of water, and then put my shoes on and go out for a nice walk. Because it actually stimulates all that circulation, stimulates your appetite in reverse, essentially. First you start walking, you don't feel as hungry, and by the time you're done, you're ready really to actually digest a meal. And if we were living in an age where we didn't have refrigerators, we would have actually been looking for mangoes or whatever it is on our walk to find for breakfast. The next door neighbor has a beautiful mango tree. We have 6 on the property. So it's worth it to go out and do some gathering. And I'd recommend, if you don't have some sort of homegrown food, put something in your yard if you actually have a yard. Plant a mango tree. They grow rapidly, and they'll be bearing fruit for you in no time. There are lots of tropical fruits that do very, very well down here. So I have an email from John. John says, hello from Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Harvey and Bell. I thank you. It's Johnny Howell, and he's a supporter, and I thank you for supporting the program. And he thanks me for referring him to the non-nutritive sugar sweetener allulose. It's a natural sugar that you don't absorb and doesn't cause any problems with blood sugar or weight gain. And it actually acts like a GLP-1 agonist. What's that? You ask. A GLP-1 agonist. GLP-1 agonists are the new weight loss medications, Ozempic and Wegovy and all those. Allulose is a natural GLP-1. So when you eat allulose, you actually get signaling that helps you to improve. So John has a question left over from last week about blood donation. He made a double red cell donation at the blood bank. He has sleep apnea, and he's treating it with CPAP. And he wonders about the blood and the blood oxygen. Well, when you have sleep apnea, you tend to get thicker blood, more red blood cells, because your body responds to the fact that you don't get oxygen at night. But once you treat with CPAP, you don't need as much of the red blood cells. So you can actually donate some of them to other people. And so that's a good thing you're donating. And he says that since he started the CPAP treatment, he's not sleeping in the afternoon. And more importantly, when he's driving, he no longer has to pull over for the mandatory nap. That is excellent. That is exactly what the point and the purpose of treating sleep apnea is, so that you can actually get relief like that. I think we have a caller.
Indeed we do. I've got Lee on the line. Good morning to you there, Lee.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, doctor. I'm not overweight. Just for general health, what would you recommend, walking or bike riding? I ride the bike about 7 miles a day. I'm 80 years old. But is walking better or biking better?
Lee, actually, movement is the key. And so, as I was mentioning earlier, the exercises to get some modest level exertion, walking briskly, I love that. I do that. You cycle. Cycling is a very good thing. If you feel safe to cycle on Florida's roads, then have at it, because I think 7 miles of biking a day is a very good thing for you, Lee.
I'm very fortunate. I got a sidewalk to ride on all the way.
Excellent.
One more question, please.
Yes.
I have noticed on TV people are advocating eating vegetables raw, especially greens, collards, kale, romaine lettuce. Lettuce eat raw, but people eat collards raw. They don't cook them. Is that something you would buy into, or just a bunch of hype?
How can I?
Well, I am not a raw foodist as far as having my entire diet be raw, but I love salad. There are certain vegetables, though, that I find really obnoxious to try and eat raw. And unless it's prepared appropriately, kale is one of those, because it's like chewing cardboard. When it's really finely chopped, or when it's actually rubbed kale is wonderful, where you take salt and oil, olive oil, and you rub every kale leaf. It's a very painstaking process, but it breaks down the fiber, and then you put a little bit of lemon juice on it, and it is absolutely a delicious salad. However, collards, I don't think a human can actually eat collards raw. If they do, it's really weird. But yeah, so there's a lot of things I like raw, but I think 50% raw, 50% cooked, as far as your vegetables and fruits concerned, is a really good way to look at it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And thank you as well, but I am going to give another plea for y'all. It's a little bit too early to have taken off time for the 4th of July, so you are listening to the Healthy Steps radio show here on WMNF Tampa with Dr. Fred Harvey, and we encourage you to participate. Just give us a call at 813-239-9663. Again, that number is 813 239-9663. And also, you can send your email to dj@wmnf.org. Back to you there again, Doctor.
Okay. So I have an email from a gentleman who is sorry for emailing, but has a very sore throat. He is a 67-year-old male in good physical condition. Sent some blood work to look at. And basically what the blood work shows is that he has anemia. The hemoglobin is low. The hematocrit is low. Hemoglobin is the molecule inside red blood cells that carries the oxygen around. And we can measure that directly. We can measure the hematocrit. Hematocrit is the basically the relative volume of red blood cells in your volume of blood. And so it should be around 40 to 50%. His is a 37.5%, which is slightly low. The hemoglobin is 12 grams per deciliter, and it should be 14 to 18. So that's anemia. Mean cell volume, MCV, is 76.7 picoliters. This is really tiny. But the range should be 80 to 100, 76.7. And mean cell hemoglobin, the amount of hemoglobin carried by each cell, is low at 24. It should be 26. So this is telling me that there's a low hemoglobin and low red blood cells. It's most likely an iron deficiency anemia, but I don't have any other labs to look at. But my suggestion would be this person probably is having a trouble with either not getting enough iron, like vegans who don't eat red meat and don't eat enough spinach, I guess, prunes and raisins. But somebody who has a chronic gastritis and can't absorb it. Somebody's had years of chronic stomach problems, takes Prilosec, can't absorb iron, doesn't eat enough vegetables and fruits with vitamin C that helps absorb the iron. So many different things could be here, but this is probably an iron deficiency anemia and should really go to be worked up for iron deficiency. It's very prevalent, and currently we are noted. I mean, most doctors are checking iron levels in their clients, but we are seeing quite a lot of iron deficiency. I've had quite a few patients that have come to me who have already had iron infusions, injected iron, for a variety of reasons, and I think that is something we'd like to avoid. So I believe we have callers again. It does seem like the internet is dropping out today, unfortunately.
Excuse me there, Doctor. Yes, I do have Darian on the line.
Hello, Darian.
Hello, Dr. Harvey. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. I love the forward about mangoes and walking.
Yes, glad to help.
So my question to you is, if you're familiar with AG1, Athletic Greens 1, it's a supplement, and
Okay.
a lot of influencers are promoting it.
Yes.
It's a supplement.
Yeah, I've seen green supplements on the market since I started doing natural medicine in 1996. And yeah, they're green supplements. I prefer to eat greens. If you don't eat greens, yeah, take a green supplement. Otherwise, influencers can sell you all kinds of stuff that has no value. This may have some, but like I look at all these, different, panacea greens or whatever supplements that an influencer is selling. Essentially, it's stuff you could get in your food. Kale extract and spirulina. It's like, okay, I can eat this stuff.
Right. Okay. Well, I just wanted your opinion, Doctor.
Yeah, I think that if you're not getting enough greens and you want to add a scoop of green stuff, good. Chlorophyll's excellent. It's a great binder. It's a great detoxer. But if you're eating your 5 to 7 servings of vegetables and 2 servings or 3 servings of fruits a day, you're in a good place.
Well, I'm not able to eat that much. But one more thing about this.
That's the human diet, though.
Yeah.
That's the human diet. Work towards those numbers. That is the Mediterranean diet. That's the diet that humans live the longest on. When you get those 5 to 7 vegetables and 2 to 3 fruits, and you minimize the other stuff.
Absolutely. Right. I do. I love food and cooking.
Good stuff.
Let me ask you one more thing. What about stevia? What's your opinion of that as a sweetener? At least it's not sucralose, but stevia.
Stevia besides the stevia extracts, they are non-nutritive, sweet flavored molecules that appear to have no adverse consequences as far as causing inflammation or doing other problems, changing your microbiome for the negative, anything like that. The only drawback with stevia for me is I don't like its aftertaste. It kind of reminds me of saccharin. I like monk fruit, but you have to be very careful when you look at monk fruit because they poisoned most of the monk fruit with erythritol. Look for liquid monk fruit because they don't put erythritol in it, but you get powdered monk fruit almost invariably the first ingredient in the bag is erythritol, which is a poison. It causes heart attacks, strokes, and vascular inflammation. So try to avoid monk fruit with erythritol, but stevia is fine. If you don't mind the aftertaste, it is fine to use.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so happy to hear about the monk fruit because I was wondering about that erythritol. I'm so happy that I hear that and that stevia is safe. Thank you so much, Dr. Harvey.
You're very welcome, Diane. Have a great day, great week.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Indeed, yes. Thank you very much for that call. And let's go to, I've got Julie on the line here. Good morning, Julie. How are you today?
Good. Good morning, Doc. I'm listening to your show right on time. I was recently diagnosed with diabetes. I was pre-diabetic and seem to be doing well, maintaining that, not crossing over to diabetes.
Yes.
Anyway, my doctor told me to give, I'm 64, I need to lose some weight, maybe 30 pounds. My doctor suggested I give up carbs, which is a struggle for me. And I was watching this show about bread, American bread in particular, and I wondered if I should what you think of me weaning myself off of bread with like pita bread, or if that's.
So I think you're on the right track there, but you're switching from a polluted wheat product to a polluted wheat product. Most of the wheat products in America are sprayed with Roundup, and so they have herbicide residues on them and other things like that, and also a lot of mycotoxins. So I would avoid wheat-based bread, and if you're going to go to something different, switch to a non-wheat-based bread. It doesn't even have to be gluten-free. If you're in the Tampa area, Sammy, S-A-M-I, Sammy's Breads makes non-wheat breads, like a millet and flax bread. It uses rice, millet, and flax. They have a sourdough rice bagel that tastes really good, made with rice and millet flour. And so there are lots of options out there that aren't wheat and don't have gluten. That would be the first thing, but really considering a low-carb diet is a good idea, going more towards a paleo diet, like the Wahls diet, WAHLS apostrophe. Look for the Wahls food pyramid. It is a low-carb diet based on high amounts of fruits and vegetables, greens and colored things, along with good lean meat, fish, and then seaweed and other things you can add in. But primarily, it's a low-carb diet, and it's a great way to reduce the inflammation in your body and help you with weight loss. But walking is the key. Get your steps in.
I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go to Sammy's today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day, and best wishes with controlling that sugar.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, indeed, and thank you there. Let's go to Phil. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Doctor.
Hi, Phil.
How you doing? Hi.
I'm great today. How about you?
Well, we talked before. You remember I was telling you how my PCP wanted to put me on a statin for having an LDL, having a total cholesterol of 194. But
what was your LDL?
My LDL was 124.
Okay.
But the triglycerides were 144 when the range is 130, and that was practically what got their whole attention. And,
how old are you?
140. 140. 42.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have heart disease, treating your LDL with statins is kind of stupid. I think it makes a lot more sense to treat the physiology that did that, and that's going to be whatever caused your triglycerides to be too high. Carbohydrates, excess carbohydrate intake, maybe sleep apnea.
Well, if I've never been overweight in my life, 5'10".
Yeah, but you can get sleep apnea without being overweight.
Okay, I thought that was kind of related, but I don't think so. I mean, I know you talk a lot about sleep apnea, and epilepsy, yes, fine, but
actually, it could be. I'm not totally familiar with the anti-seizure medications, but some of them, I think I recall, might be problematic for lipid metabolism. So that it could be the med that's raising your triglycerides. Not sure. But with the total cholesterol 194, you're in pretty good shape, but that LDL does need to go down.
Well, I believe it's the medication that I've been on for 15 years. I believe Zonogram because it controls through the salt channels and the calcium in the nervous system and the serotonin and the serotonin and the one other main chemical from the gut that the gut produces from the gut brain back to the brain. That's how it controls everything. And
there's something really interesting, though. It looks that Zonegrin reduces triglycerides. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'd say look at the potential for sleep apnea, especially if your liver enzymes are abnormal. If your liver enzymes are normal, then I'd look for how much sugar you're getting in your diet.
Well, being a lifetime vegetarian, not being, the doctor completely went for my diet and told me I had to start eating meat, which I've never done. And I went the other way and said I had to start taking probiotics because I always thought my medication was making me irregular, made me had diarrhea for the last 15 years that I've been taking it, and no one's ever treated that or dealt with that issue. And and I'm too young to have colonoscopies and blah blah, so they won't give them to me. And I was like, okay. So instead, what I did was I started taking a whole bunch of probiotics. As I was like, wait a minute, they're not gonna go the direction I want with this by trying to make me eat meat. And so I, in the last week or two, I started taking a whole bunch of probiotics. It's fixed the other problem, but it's made me tired. And I haven't taken a new blood work up yet, which I will in a couple weeks. And I'll see if those numbers are right. But I'm like, well, this is definitely changing me. And, and I've increased my fiber. I've been taking
that's a good thing.
Like the Metamucil every day and like
But you haven't had your cholesterol rechecked since you started all these things.
No, I'm gonna have that August 1st and then go into another, So, but it's been, it takes time for this to,
of course it does. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll be back in less than 3 months. So
good. So you're already doing some intervention. What else would you like to add today? Because I think you're already doing some stuff that you're going to follow up on.
Well, I think that by adding a lot of fiber, doing a carrot, celery fiber shake every morning, I'm going to really reduce cholesterol. And
the most effective thing is to do the fiber before every time you eat. And that way you're actually working on it each time you take in more food. But I have more callers on the line, Phil, and I really enjoy talking with you. But you have a great week, and let us know what that labs work shows in August.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you there, Phil. And let's go to Jenny. Good morning, Jenny.
Yes, hi. Hi, good morning,
Hello.
Dr. Harvey. How are you?
Doing well. How are you today, Jenny?
I am good, thank you. My question is regarding I've been diagnosed with edema, so I get a lot of swelling in my lower leg and the ankles and the feet after, obviously like standing or sitting for long periods of time. However,
Sure.
I do have hypertension. I'm on losartan, been on losartan for years because of that. My LDLs were higher in my last lab results. And I'm just trying to research and, find natural ways to help reduce the effect of the swelling. I've gone to the cardiologist. I've gotten scans. There's no blockage. There's no issues with the veins as far as the circulation that they can see. So I'm kind of baffled as to why this is taking place.
Yes.
I did read that a lack of potassium can cause that, but I just wanted to get a little bit more insight from you.
Yeah. So high blood pressure, hypertension is a result of inflammation of your vascular system. Edema is a result of inflammation of your vascular system. Losartan is a medication that reduces blood pressure, but it doesn't actually take care of inflammation of the vascular system. And so no one has, as far as I can tell by what you've told me, Jenny, addressed the primary cause of the high blood pressure. Most doctors don't. They don't think of it in these terms. They think of hypertension as a disease in and of its own origin. They even call it essential hypertension, and they treat it as if it's an entity. But what it is a sign that there's something going on in your body. And using losartan to hide the sign is a way of allowing the problem to persist. And then after you've been on losartan for a while, hiding the vascular inflammation and having your blood pressure be in the reference range, you result in further deterioration in your blood vessels, and suddenly edema shows up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what you need is a doctor that would help you understand why you have the inflammation that caused the high blood pressure in the first place, instead of just washing their hands of it by giving you a pill and saying, oh, you look, your blood pressure's fine now. So is it dietary? Is it exercise? Is it sleep apnea? Is there a toxin on board? I don't know, but a good doctor does a workup to figure out why it is you have the primary condition called high blood pressure, and then helps you get rid of it. So you don't have to take a medicine to control it the rest of your life and then get secondary complications. What's really interesting is losartan actually treats edema. And so there's a big problem here, since you're on a medicine that usually reduces edema, but you have edema.
That's interesting.
I would get a workup by a functional medicine doctor to figure out why it is, because your doctor's obviously doing a workup to figure out why. He's just doing what and how. See you later.
Okay, and you said a functional doctor?
Functional medicine, yes. You can go to IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine.org, and do a physician search in your area.
Okay. IFM.org?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. And I'll go ahead and follow up with that and look into that. And thank you for that information. That gives me some insight as to, they always say a lot of medicine masks the problem versus takes care of it. So I think that's
right. There are no cures. There's just maintaining the illness.
Okay, sounds great. I appreciate it, Dr. Harvey.
You're so welcome. Take care.
Yes, and best wishes to you there, Jenny. I'm going to go to Mary in a second, but we're down to the last about 15 minutes of the show, so I want to remind you and invite you to participate in the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. And you can do that as simply as dialing 813-239-9663. If you have any medical questions or concerns, this is the place to go. Dial 813-239-9663 or continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning to you, Mary.
Hi, Doc. How y'all? My ride
Mary, how are you?
to take me to my doctor, but I just changed doctors, which I'm glad I did, and my blood work came back that I was in stage 4 kidney disease, GFR 2015 to 29 milligrams, and hyperdulia. And I've already been through breast cancer. I had a boobectomy, and I'm going through vascular surgery on my legs. So,
Wow.
why did they
You have a lot of medical issues.
Yeah, why did they not notice this kidney thing before?
I don't know. I have no idea what your medical history all along has been. I have no idea what your labs looked like. And so who knows? When did this occur? Did it just like show up this week, or did you have kidney disease previously?
I never had it.
So your creatinine was never elevated before this time?
And I never mentioned it.
Well, if you have your labs, you would know. You could look at your old labs and say, oh, my creatinine was elevated before. They missed this a long time ago. But if you don't have those old labs, then you don't know. Do you have the old labs?
I do, but not handy.
Okay. So what you need to do is go back and look at those and see if your creatinine was elevated previously. And if it was elevated previously, then you know you've had an ongoing kidney problem that's slowly deteriorated. But if it was normal until this last test, that means you have an acute kidney injury and something happened to your kidneys suddenly. And that would be something that needs to be addressed right away because you can actually recover the function. But if you don't act on it, you can't. So if this is a slow deterioration over the last 15 years, that's a different story than if it just suddenly got bad last week. So that's something you need to follow up on with your doctor, like right away.
I got a new renal ultrasound in the next week, and I've got labs in 2 weeks.
Good. So you're getting follow-up. Excellent.
He put me on Keurig, C-O-R-E-G, whatever, and sodium bicarbonate, and took me off my lisinopril.
Oh, yeah, lisinopril can actually cause an acute kidney injury like that. So maybe it'll get better off lisinopril.
Maybe. Let's hope. And also, my little lumbars have all turned into S's all of a sudden.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You have a bunch going on there.
Oh, man. Let me tell you about it. Anyway, you got other people waiting.
Have a great day, Mary. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I was wondering about, all of a sudden my calcium is real high. They called me this morning and told me to quit taking my calcium. My calcium was too high, and it could cause all.
Well, if your calcium's high, you need to get your parathyroid hormone checked right away because parathyroid tumors are a common cause of high calcium, not usually from taking calcium.
Yeah, and my kidneys are showing real stage 3 all of a sudden. More sisters. My calcium is real high. They called me this morning and told me to quit taking my. But that's it, and I'll let you go. I know you're busy.
All right. You have a great day, my dear, and definitely stay off the calcium, potassium, and get to the doctor.
Yeah, she's making an appointment for me. My doctor called me this morning.
All right. You got to get this followed up because it can get serious.
I'm going to.
All right.
Serious. Thank you.
Take care, Mary.
Well, thank you very much there, Mary. And I do have Sam on another line here. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Hi, Sam.
How you doing? Thanks for doing this service work. I appreciate you. I'm calling on behalf of a friend of mine, and it looks like you got 2 kidney calls in a row. Well, I have a third one, and my question is, I have a friend who I care about dearly, and I've been watching her, and she's on stage 3 kidney right now, and she's going to a doctor, so she is following up. It seems like they're taking their sweet time with taking care of her, but I'm trying to find out what are some of the best things for her to do. I tell her to drink more water because she seems to drink coffee a lot and tea, and I try to tell her that will dehydrate her and it doesn't help the kidneys process. So I don't know, if water, I just think that what I've studied, water is very important for kidneys and to get lots of water.
Yeah, I agree. So stage 3 kidney disease is not horrendous, but it's on the way out. You can maintain chronic kidney disease of stage 3 for many years and never deteriorate if you do the right things. Things that can make it worse, things that would cause acute kidney injury, are medicines like lisinopril or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen. The nature of the chronic kidney disease is usually slowly deteriorating. So if you do reduce the amount of things that are going to injure it by making sure you do drink a lot of water, dilute the toxins like the uric acid and things like that, so it's not as concentrated in there, and taking good antioxidants that support blood vascular health, because the kidneys are a very vascular organ, and so there's a lot of things you can do to reduce the burden on the kidneys, but there's a whole workup that goes along with it to do so. But encouraging better water intake, less toxin intake, like get rid of cigarettes, get rid of alcohol, excess sugar. These things will help.
Okay, so sugar does play a role also in kidney being able to function easier.
Well, sugar causes vascular damage. So anytime you're adding sugar, you're going to cause more vascular damage. So limiting it really does help.
Okay. Well, you gave me some good things to look at. I appreciate you, man, and please keep doing what you're doing.
Glad to help. Have a great day, man.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we've got 6 or 7 more minutes, so I'm only going to say this once and probably only take one caller as a result of, but you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. We want you to give us a jingle at 813-239-9663 to address your concerns. And again, always the emails can be sent to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning, and back to you there, Doctor.
So, hey, here's an email from Patrick. He's been diagnosed with AFib, atrial fibrillation, cardiac arrhythmia that is associated with atrial fibrillation and alcoholism. And so excess alcohol can trigger atrial fibrillation and sleep apnea can. So he's asking, is there any natural means of dealing with this? And so I would say get checked for sleep apnea. And then he's taking certain meds, but doesn't say what they are. If you have ongoing atrial fibrillation, it is absolutely imperative that you be on a blood thinner. A blood thinner like Eliquis will reduce your risk of a stroke by about 95%. Aspirin maybe reduces it by 25%. And I have no clue what the alternative things like nattokinase or lumbrokinase or any of the enzymes, fish oil or vitamin E would do for it, because we don't have any evidence. And so I would stick with the blood thinner if you actually have atrial fibrillation. And then another question he had is, what do I think of the keto diet short term? I think that going low carb when you have excess weight and you need to lose weight is really a very functional tool. Staying on keto diet all the time is very difficult. Most people don't. But then as you transition back in, you have to be careful that you don't add too many carbs back in, or you might just gain all the weight back. So it's good to have a health coach, a functional medicine doctor, somebody help coach you through that process. I think we have callers.
I was about to say, yes, we got Eric, who squeaked on in right under the wire. Good morning to you there, Eric.
How you doing?
Great. Eric, how are you?
Good. So 2 quick questions. Listening to about lisinopril and losartan, I was told it was for my prostate, but it helps the kidney. So what's the deal with those 2 drugs?
Well, losartan and lisinopril don't do anything for the prostate. Who told you that?
Okay. Well, that's why I left that doctor.
Good idea. They have nothing to do with it at all. They only work on, so losartan works on something called the angiotensin receptor. It blocks it so that angiotensin, which causes tight blood vessels and high blood pressure, can't do its job. Lisinopril prevents the production of angiotensin. So it blocks the enzyme that makes it, and then losartan blocks the place where it works. So they have nothing to do with the prostate. Zero.
Okay. The other question is, what's the real scoop with sugar? And sugar, I stopped eating sugar about 6 months ago, occasional cookie. But and and I started eating sola bread. This, the low net carbs, like 2 net carbs per slice, and those two helped me lose about 12, 14 pounds.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fiber in the bread. But what's the deal with the, monk fruit versus the pink, yellow, and blue artificial sugars? How's that processed in the body compared to real sugar?
So sugar is processed like sugar, and we burn it for calories, although some sugars aren't absorbed. Allulose is a non-absorbed sugar, so it's not nutritive. It does taste sweet, and if you do too much of it, you can get some bloaty, gassy stuff. Monk fruit and stevia are natural, non-nutritive extracts of plants that taste sweet, but are not caloric and don't have any artificial adverse consequences. Pink, blue, and yellow, artificial, cause disruptions in the gastrointestinal microbiome, increased inflammation, associated with increased risk of vascular inflammation. The sugar alcohols aren't in that group. That's erythritol, xylitol, maltolol, and all those. They are actually, specifically erythritol, is associated with xylitol, increased risk of vascular inflammation, clotting, stroke, and heart attack. And so there's not one artificial sweetener that is acceptable for human consumption, period, end. Stevia and monk fruit are fine, but monk fruit, you have to be warned, is polluted with erythritol by these weird manufacturing people. And so you have to really be careful. The monk fruit that I use is liquid in a little tiny container, has a little monk on the front of it. It's liquid. There's no erythritol in it. You use drops of it.
Gotcha.
But sugar, added sugar is the bane.
Right.
Eating sugar in fruits, eating sugar in, the bread you're eating, whatever it is, that's not what I'm concerned about. It's like putting white sugar, table sugar into things. People that are doing those lattes that have 18 teaspoons of sugar in it and lots of gooey, saturated fat, that's just poison. Gotcha. You have a cup of coffee and you put 1 level teaspoon of plain old sugar in it, I'm not terribly worried about you. But if you're doing 15 of those, there's a problem.
Okay. So with regard to, say, yellow, the Splenda,
that's poison.
If you eat 3-4 packets a day, is that the end of the world?
3 packets a day of Splenda, it's all poison. Splenda is poison. Sucralose is poison. It's chlorinated sugar. It disrupts your gastrointestinal microbiome. It's something that shouldn't be consumed by humans, and I don't know why it's been approved to do so.
Well, that's another phone call.
Yes, it is. But actually, we don't need to go there. We know why. It's called profit, and we live in capitalistic America. Yeah, so we got to profit from it. All right, okay. Eric, have a great day, my friend.
You too, my friend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. We're down to the wire, so I'm just going to do these last 2 emails in a lightning round. People have mentioned NAD shots for energy. Well, back in the day, they had NAD came out orally. It didn't seem to work. There's a lot of people touting NAD injections. I've given up my injection business. I think we can do it all otherwise. A lot of people love the injections. I did. I got a lot of things done with them, but I am having so much happen without having to bother with injections. That I just like the idea of thinking of doing it with food, with consciousness, with good meditation, with breath work, with exercise. It's just so much easier, so much less costly, and so much less problematic. I don't have a rigid protocol to follow because everybody flows. One day you're going to be feeling this way and that way, but stick within a group of guidelines. Exercise every day, drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, eat a rainbow of vegetables. I think you're doing really well. So thanks a lot, everybody. And Bill, you did 2 jobs today. It was a little challenging for you, I can hear, and I'm glad it went through. And I can't wait for another wonderful episode of Ask Me Anything. Next week, we start in July. So, wow. Second half of the year.
I always like to wear my hero cape, but I have to give some credit to DT. He came on in, helped me with the phones there, and we could not have done the show as well without him. And I'd like to thank you as well, Doctor, for another great show, and all of our listeners and callers. They made this show spectacular today. And a little bit ahead of time, happy 4th of July and safe one to everyone. You all take care. Stay healthy. You have been listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Coming on up is 5 minutes of NPR News, and then, by golly, get ready for the Sustainable Living Show, hosted by the darn good duo of sustainability, Annie Ellis and Tanya Vidovic. Until next Monday at 10 a.m., thank you for supporting and listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and know that you